Hey yo, Post family, what's good? Y'all already know who it is. It is your boy Thesis. In today's video, I want to discuss something that I wish I was shown when I first started producing, and that is 10 tips on how to mix your audio and improve the quality. Keep it locked, stay tuned. All right, so before I get into the tips, today's my birthday. So make sure that y'all drop down to the comment, tell your boy happy birthday. You know, I'm getting up there in age and everything. It's cool, you know. But I appreciate everybody, man, for real. You know, shout out to everybody that's been supporting. If you guys want to show some love, you know, you can drop down, send me a gift, or, you know, just support your boy. I want to go ahead and I want to get into the 10 tips. Tip number 1, use quality equipment. Invest in a decent microphone and an audio interface to capture high quality audio from the start. Good audio capture is crucial to a clean mix. Now, this is more so talking about the vocals. The first thing I had was the M Audio. It was the Delta, I think it was the 44. That one was a PCI slot inside of your computer. It was no USB. So, you know, you had the SCSI hookup. That quality, to me, is still the best quality. You have a mid-range, which is the Thunderbolt, which is the Universal Audio Thunderbolt, right? That one comes at like $4.99. Get the UAD plugins, all that good stuff. That's top-notch quality. But if you can't do that right now and you want to get something that's more affordable, you can start off like how I did, which was with the PreSonus Audio Box 2x2. That one lasted for me at least a good 17 years before I switched over. All right, tip number 2. Normalize audio levels. Make sure that the levels of your audio recordings are consistent. Use a limiter or normalize tool to bring your audio to a balanced level. A lot of times the audio is not that great. So when you're hearing it in the video, you're coming across, you know, it might sound great in your speakers, but it doesn't sound good to us as the viewer once we've seen it. Tip number 3, remove background noise. To eliminate any unwanted background noise and reduction tools or plugins. This will help out to improve the clarity of your audio production. There's a lot of them out there, but my favorite to this day that I use is the Wave Noise Suppressor NS1. This bad boy right here does the trick, real inexpensive, and it does a great job of pulling out any background noise. Once you learn how it actually works, then you'll see how it actually will help out with your production. Tip number 4, EQ and use to enhance your frequency balance of your audio productions. Cut frequencies that sound muddy or add subtle boosts to frequencies that need more presence. Experiment with the EQ to find out the right balance for your production. And I cannot stress that enough. A lot of times we get into wanting to go onto YouTube and find out how everybody does their stuff. The key is this: use your ear and use the actual graphs or things that tools is out there that can help you to see how to actually listen and sometimes just sit, you know, and hear what it is that you're mixing. I didn't know frequencies when I first started, still learning to this day. But one thing I know for sure that I won't go wrong with is that my ear, when either you hear something that's too harsh or something that's too muddy. And you can't be afraid to actually, you know, play around with your EQ and mix. Tip number 5, control dynamic range and use compression to control the dynamic range of your audio. This helps out even with volume levels, making stuff soft where it has soft parts or more audible, and reducing peaks that may distort or clip your audio. Now, in your overall, you know, your master mix, you should never have it in red. You know, you should always have a ceiling. My ceiling is to make sure at 0. But some of those in those channels might peak. But then again, you know, it all depends on the project of what you're mixing. Every project and every track is going to be different. You can't have a cookie cutter template out there where you just slap on a template and, you know, you just go from there. I have to be transparent. You know, when I first started, that was one of the things I was looking for, something easy. But this is definitely a hard learned lesson where you have to go in, experiment, and learn on your own. Tip number 6, panning and stereo imaging. To utilize the panning of positioning audio elements in the stereo field, spread out sounds across the sound stereo spectrum to create a sense of width and depth. It basically widens the entire mix. Or if you want to add, you know, different areas and spectrums where you space out your actual sound, this is where you go in and then start to play around with, you know, your panning, your stereo imaging. And a lot of times, as a tip, usually what I do is there's an VST called Pancake. I love to throw that on hi-hats and then add a fast right to left, so it just opens that up, spaces out the actual drum, and then other sounds won't sound as it's on one spectrum, but it sounds more wider, more broader. And that's what stereo imaging does to help out a lot of your audio production. So make sure that you guys are actually using that. Tip number 7, reverb and spatial effects. Add reverb to create a sense of space in your audio. Experiment with different reverb settings to achieve the desired ambience, or use spatial effects like delays or chorus to add depth and character. And that's basically what, it will do if you use it correctly. You have to experiment. You can't use too much reverb. You can't use too less. You can use presets to help out experiment. And that's one thing that I love about, when I do my music or my production, because you can't be scared to use any of the VST plugins, especially these ones that come out with presets that help you to get an idea of how you want to play around with sound. Using that reverb or effects like delays and choruses, using distortion, things of that nature, those type of things will help enhance your production as opposed to just making it straight across, but it'll add character and depth and warmth to your actual production. Tip number 8, avoid excessive processing. While it's important to enhance your audio, be mindful of excessive processing that can result in artificial or unnatural sound. Using process tools tastefully to maintain a natural or transparent audio quality helps out your production. And a lot of times you'll see people with a whole bunch of effects on one channel, then you go to the master channel and it's a whole bunch of effects. Now, don't get me wrong, if that's what helps you out to do, your sound, your production, cool. But I honestly believe in production, you don't have to excessively use all those effects if you have a great sound. Make sure that you guys aren't excessively processing this stuff. Tip number 9, monitor on different systems. Ensure that your mix sound good across various playback systems and listen to it on different speakers, headphones, and devices to ensure that it translates well to different platforms. I used to always have it to where, it sounded great in the studio and then I listened to it and then it would sound horrible in the car. This right here is a practice, and it's not that you can't, but it's a skill set that you have to perfect. So let's go to the last tip. Test all your music before finalizing. Listen to it on multiple times and take breaks in between. I get it. We listen to it for the sake of fun or something that we created, but get past that. Listen to it for the sake of actually perfecting it and then getting it to the place of where okay, we can actually do something with this where I can give it to an artist, where I can do it for sync licensing. This is where you actually come down and say, okay, now I've got it to where, I have a good mix. Now let me listen to it a couple times. Then let me see if I can, either subtract or add to it. That right there is a practice where you have to constantly keep listening to it, all right? And remember, mixing is a skill. It is a skill, and it's a time to practice and master. And it's not something that you're going to get overnight. It's something that takes years in learning. And even though you're looking at YouTube, and even though you're getting on the tutorials and taking the tidbits and taking notes, I guarantee you there are a lot of people on here, if they were honest, that it took them years to learn how to get their sound the way that they like it. So I hope that this helped out. I hope that, all this advice helped you out for getting started on doing your production and getting the sound that you want. I greatly appreciate you guys. And if you guys like this video, please make sure that you drop down, hit a like, hit a comment. But thank you guys so much. I appreciate your support. And another one done is another one of the books. You guys already know who it is. It is your boy Thesis. Peace.